the stream. Okay. Let me check what we're looking like on YouTube. Oops.
I love the artwork in the background, by the way.
You said you look awkward in the background? Oh, you love the artwork.
The artwork, yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, very intentional about the space. Yes. I'm looking for this. Okay, let's get started. Hello, 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 Blactrospective beauties. How is everyone doing today? Thank you for joining us. Welcome back. I'm your host, Ma B. And throughout this civic re-education series, we've explored local leadership and what that looks like, how housing and public safety to economic development and community investment affects our communities. So tonight, we're kind of shifting the conversation. Campaigns often focus on what candidates plan to do. Tonight, we're asking a different question. How do we evaluate leaders who already have a record of public service? Experience brings a unique perspective. It offers successes to celebrate, lessons to learn from, and decisions that voters can evaluate. So tonight's conversation is about leadership, accountability, and vision. What does it take to lead a growing community? How do you balance today's challenges while preparing for the next generation? And what should voters look for when evaluating someone with an established public record? Let's get into it. I'll pass it on to my girl, Ish.
Hello. Tonight we're joined by George Oliver III, a Navy veteran, businessman, and a longtime public servant who currently serves as Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioner for District 4 in the city of Ocoee. He is also a candidate for Orange County Commissioner, District 2. As Ocoee's first African-American commissioner elected and re-elected, George Oliver III has championed infrastructure improvements, expanded youth employment opportunities, established the Ocoee Youth Council, supported financial transparency through operational audits, and helped preserve local history through initiatives recognizing the 1920 Ocoee Massacre.
Thank you.
His vision for Orange County includes balanced economic development, infrastructure, and improvements. Commissioner Oliver, welcome to Blactrospective.
Hey.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
Good.
I'm excited. I'm excited to participate in this. As I was telling my campaign manager that I was really excited to do this, and I can't wait to dive into the tough questions and the complex issues that we deal with in the city and in the county at the local municipal levels.
I love your enthusiasm.
Yes.
Welcome, B Speaks. There she is. So Commissioner, before we get started with the hard questions, let me ask you some soft questions. Like, first of all, what made you want to advocate in this space, specifically Ocoee, right, District 2, and then what navigated you towards changing to District 4?
Well, I'm currently District 4 in
Oh.
the city of Ocoee. That's why, hey, those numbers, you know what, they're interchangeable. Because again, the city lies in the county, so those numbers are interchangeable. But nonetheless, as far as being a city commissioner in Ocoee, the thing that really piqued my interest in running for office had to be at a lunch some years ago, back in 18, I wasn't even born yet. 2015, back in 2015, I had lunch with a state senator, and we were just having a regular lunch and started talking about the city and different things that I wanted to see for the city. Being a resident there at the time in Ocoee, he asked me would I be interested in running for office, and my initial answer was no. But as you know, I talked about it with my wife, and we really kind of started looking at the city as a whole from a 30,000-foot overview. It looks as if that the city could use one, a diversity, and two, it looks as if that the city needed a voice. At least my district needed a voice that represented the diverse communities within the city. So right now, most people didn't even know that my district in the city of Ocoee represents about 63% African Americans. And you know what? Most of us don't even know it.
I definitely didn't know that. I lived in Orlando all my life. Pretty
you
much.
know, and I'll tell you what, I mean, just in my district, District 4, we have 15,000 residents in District 4 in the city of Ocoee, and about 63% African American. They make up that district, and the rest will be, you know, our Caucasians, we have our Hispanic, we have our Asian community, the Caribbean community. So when you look at all that as a whole, what really piqued my interest when I went to an Ocoee High School graduation and I started panning the room. And as I panned the room, I'm like, oh wow. Then it really hit home that there's truly no representation for my district when it comes to the diverse makeup of the district. And we started running ever since then. In 2015 we ran, we weren't successful, but we came back in 2018 and we won. And we've been winning ever since. And we've been winning on different fronts when it comes to economics, youth programs, adult literacy, just recognizing of our history, those kind of things, and trying to maneuver through all those nuances when you have all these, let's say, I call it trauma. There's community trauma when it comes to the Ocoee massacre. So you have folks on both sides of the fence, and we're dealing with the trauma of that, but we still have to maneuver carefully through those sensitive issues, but still be able to get things done and also be able to recognize that these atrocities happen in the city, but also be able to hone people in and let them know that, hey, guess what, look how far we've come. You know, for 60, 65 years, we were not allowed here. But look now, 63% of one district is African American. So that is a great testament to the growth that's happening in the city. And I think we're starting to recognize that as a whole, and we're embracing that as a city. And we're being able to come together on so many different issues, maybe black, white, Hispanic, or whatever, cultural, whatever it is, we're coming together as a community as a result of the change, as a result of the pushback we've actually did on some issues, but for the most part, it's been a wonderful ride so far.
Beautiful.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you, Commissioner Oliver. Explaining that and just giving us more perspective, especially like what goes into like taking the initiative to want to continue to elevate the community in that way. You serve as a city commissioner, and you're now seeking to serve at that county level. So for viewers who may not understand the distinction, how does leadership at the county level differ from that of the municipal government?
Well, I'll say this: there are a lot of parallels to municipal level and county level because they're both considered local. And when we start talking about local politics, local policies, ordinances, and those kind of things, it takes for us to understand the difference between the two. So let's separate the two. So you have a city, a municipality, like the city of Ocoee, that resides in the county of Orange. So we have in the city of Ocoee, we have about a little over 50,000 residents. And we all pay taxes to the state, to the county, to our municipalities, schools, and different things of that nature. And we also have what's called home rule, where we actually kind of create our ordinances when it comes to our city, our boundaries, our residents, and in order to maintain, I would say, a healthy lifestyle within our city and try to maintain that balance. Where the county level, and our budget in the city is right at about 90 to $100 million. That's our budget. And we have to take that budget and stretch it out over all the services and make sure we maintain our parks, our services, offer free concerts if we need to, just to kind of keep the community uplifted, those kind of things. Fire assessment, so we have fire department, so we have all these things that we take care of as far as the bill is concerned, as well as infrastructure, our roads, our streets, our communities. Now, at the county level, the difference would be that there's a lot more at stake because the county budget is right about $8.3 billion. And the district of District 2 that I'm running for, it encompasses Lockhart, it encompasses Paradise Heights, it encompasses all of Ocoee, all of Apopka, Tangerine, Zellwood, Plymouth, Sorrento, and Kelly Park. So it covers all that. So you're looking at, over 200,000 residents that you're governing now, or you are participating in setting policies for all these people. May it be non-ad fees, or may it be ordinances that we have to enforce for different things. Maybe our parks and rec ordinances. It could be infrastructure projects, how we move water throughout the district. So when you flush the toilet, you need the water to go somewhere. So guess what? That's what happens at the county level. They move vast amounts of water. They sell water projects to different municipalities within the actual within the county itself. So from my perspective, what I want to do is I want to be able to take the things that we have championed, the things we've done in the city of Ocoee, and all of the different wins that we've had when it comes to all these kind of projects within our budget, and now have some influence over the $8.3 billion that's about to be spent, and then take that and let's turn the dial on it. So we've been turning the needle for a long time in the county. It goes to the left, it goes to the right, it goes to the left, it goes to the right. But no one has really had the opportunity to just turn the entire dial. So now with the onset of new leadership coming throughout this county, we have the opportunity to turn the whole dial toward West Orange County. And that's what one of my goals is. How do we do that? How do we turn the dial? Meaning that we need our fair share of $8.3 billion that's going to be spent in the next 4 years. And now, if you look at it from a whole, I'm telling you how much money really going to be spent. It's going to be anywhere between $10.5 billion to $18 billion is really going to be spent over the next 5 years, according to the plan, according to our county comprehensive plan. It is close to going to be close to about $18 billion, as high as that. So now, what does that mean? What does that mean? It means that who's going to be sitting in the room? Who's going to be the voice in that same room that's going to be saying, hey, Ocoee, what about Ocoee? What about Apopka? What about Lockhart? What about Tangerine? What about all the issues that they deal with in rural boundaries? And believe it or not, you have rural boundaries like those areas that I named, like the Tangerines and the Zellwoods and the Plymouth areas. Their issues are much different from people that live in much populated areas. Those folks move there for a reason. And they move there because they like the tranquil, small town, peaceful areas that's being offered, along with lower property taxes and lower tax rates up there. And they move out there for those reasons. And the biggest issue that some of the big issues they have is public safety. When it comes to public safety, when they call the police, it's about a 45-minute response time. 45 minutes to respond. When they call the fire department, they'll look at about 20 to 25 minutes response. That's the difference between A, life and death, and B, the saving or loss of your property. So when we look at these things from that 30,000 overview, what I plan on doing, my plan is to be able to take what we've learned in the city of Ocoee and now be able to apply those things and then make sure that there is some type of internal controls and audits for every district to make sure that they're getting their fair share of that $8.3 billion at minimum that's going to be spent from that budget. And then from the 10.5 to the 18 billion that we spend in capital improvement as well as infrastructure projects. I hope I answered your question. I didn't really. I know I get into this thing because I study these things daily. I see these numbers daily, and these numbers can be kind of astronomical at times, and it become a blur, like 8.3 billion. Oh, blah. There's a lot of zeros you got to deal with. But if we break it down in perspective as far as percentages, it's much easier to absorb, it's much easier to digest when we break it down into percentages. Like public safety is a total of 35% of that budget. That's the sheriff department, that is fire department, and then also the jail. That completes 35% of that budget. And actually, I'm going to be advocating that part of that budget will be increased till about 38 to 39% in the interest of public safety and in reducing of call times in those rural boundaries.
Do you find it challenging to have to, I would say, going into this role, having to distinguish between the competing needs between the asks? So to further clarify, I would say, maybe people that live in West Orange County might have more, there's a lot of things that they feel like may be skipped or don't have as much of a focus and hasn't had a focus for a very long time. Whereas, out in Tangerine or in Zellwood, which is a lot further, away, for them, those things might not be as high of a priority. Do you find that that's something that you're having to overcome quite a bit while you come in to looking at the budgets and allocating resources in that capacity?
That's actually a great question, and I think I know where you're going with that, and that was an excellent question because it is a reality when you have to find that balance between those highly dense areas versus the areas that's not so dense. When you talk about rural boundaries and the issues that they both deal with, everybody's asking for something, and how do you find that balance between the growth in the rural boundaries and slowing that down to create smart development out there, to slow it down a little bit because they don't want to be so condensed like folks that are living in let's say Apopka or Ocoee. So we have to figure out what is that middle ground. Where do we find middle ground between those asks? So now you're looking at taking some portions of that budget, slowing down development by creating smart development projects that preserves our water basins, that preserves our wildlife preserves, that is actually going to look into making sure that our lands are protected from mass developments and pollution. And being able to allocate money for that is a simple thing. I look at things very straightforward. If I'm able to get the developers that have plans for green space plans along with their projects and bring them to the table with the environmentalists in those areas, the environmentalists and the folks that live in the rural boundaries, and say, hey, here's some projects we want to present to you. Does it fit your guidelines, your plans? Now, I'm going to take one step back. So one of the things that I want to do coming into the county commission is create community coalitions. Community coalition is just regular citizens that live in a community. Let's say you have people living, let's say Zellwood and Tangerine. If I was able to get 5 to 7 folks within that area to create a coalition and then ratify that coalition through the county by signing a resolution, say this is a bona fide community coalition. So now they're legitimate, they're legitimized. We can even take a step further, send it up to Tallahassee and ratify them through Tallahassee. Now they're truly a legitimate coalition. Now, what if I was able to create pockets of coalitions from Zellwood, Tangerine, then maybe Plymouth, South Apopka, maybe have a coalition. Apopka have their own coalition. Sorrento and Kelly Park have their own coalition. So now you have pockets of coalitions. Now you've created a power base. You've actually created a base that you can now start controlling narratives. You can also start controlling the funding that comes into those communities. When you're able to do that, now I can take the Zellwood Tangerine coalition and say, hey, what are some of the things that you guys want to see in the next 5 years in your community? They'll give us a list of all these things. What we're going to do is we're going to create a comprehensive plan, a 5-year or 4-year comprehensive plan for that community. Every single coalition will have their own comprehensive plan. That comprehensive plan should mirror close to Apopka, should mirror close to Ocoee, excuse me, and also mirror close to the county's comprehensive plan. It'd be very close. Now you have established a base, and you also have a community that's all on the same page. So when development shows up and say, hey, we want to do this development up in the rural boundaries, but we also want to maintain green space. Does this development meet the ideology or the things that we talked about when it comes to our community coalition. If they line up, I think we have a great recipe to create smart development in those rural boundaries. Now, when we start looking at the same thing in a more condensed area like Apopka, now, does your project meet the comprehensive plan for the city? And also, does it meet the comprehensive plan for our community coalition? If they're all on the same page, they all line up with the county, we got a alignment, a three-way alignment there, we're able to push projects a lot faster as long as we're able to line the ideologies and line up the focus of the projects along those three barriers. Once we cross those three barriers, those projects can move along, and we're able to satisfy, back to your original question, the ask for all those different areas and the unique ask or the unique issue that they all deal with. So I see it from that perspective. For me, it's kind of straightforward. Being a former Treasury auditor with the U.S. Treasury, also being a former auditor with Deloitte and Touche, I see numbers a little different from most folks because I understand the compliance of numbers. I understand when a number is placed on something, there has to be an allocation for that number as to how that money is going to be spent. And then I break it down into percentages. And now I can make sure that everybody's getting their fair share of the percentages of those allocated funds. And I think that we're able to bridge those gaps when it comes to a rural boundary versus a more condensed area when it comes to asking for different projects and the spending of the county's budget.
Thank you. I really enjoy that idea of having like the separate regions, which will kind of have their own things that roll up with the main agenda. And I do think it allows for accountability there and to also know where those resources are being allocated. And I think it will give more insight for people as to like the focus on the need for each region. So I appreciate you explaining that for us.
Absolutely. And you know what? And I will take it one little step further.
Mhm.
So with these community coalitions, here's another thing you could do with these community coalitions. And it's been proven throughout this country over the past 5-10 years, and it's been very highly successful, creating public-private partnerships with them. So now, for instance, let's say Plymouth and South Apopka. If you look at the 429 corridor all around them, there's a lot of multi-billion-dollar corporations around them. There's Amazon, there's Goya, there's Simply, there's Minute Maid, all these, I'm not even, they're international brands. Because I've been in different countries and seen each one of these brands anywhere I've traveled outside this country. So that tells me they are multi-billion-dollar international companies. Now, and they literally lie right across the street, or right across the railroad tracks from some of these disenfranchised communities. So now, based on that, you can have those community coalitions go and knock on the door, knock at the front door and say, hey, we are the South Apopka Plymouth Community Coalition. You guys have been here for so many years, taking up so much footprint from the community that we've been in all our lives. How much money are you planning on putting towards our comprehensive plans over the next 5 years? Oh, by the way, here's our plans.
Mm-hmm.
And these plans have been sanctioned through the city, through the county, and the state. And I guarantee you, if we ask nicely, they'll be more than happy to pitch into community projects over the next 5 years for different community coalitions.
Thank you.
So your campaign emphasizes long-term vision for Orange County. Why do you believe it's important for leaders to think beyond the next election and begin planning for the next generation?
Also, a great question. So, Ish, the Bible says that the people perish for lack of vision. That holds so true in across so many different spectrums. So I'll give you a perfect example. When I first came to the city of Ocoee as a commissioner in 2018, the first thing I asked for when I took office is, I need to see your mission statement. I need to see your vision, your mission statement, and I want to see your budget. And I think that in my mind, in my analytical mind or my auditing mind, you have a mission, There's a vision, and then there's a budget that should line up with that mission and vision, which creates the foundation of the city. Well, I was told that the city did not have a vision or a mission statement. And I thought it was a joke. I was like, no, no, we got 50,000 residents here. And there's no way a municipality of almost 100 years has survived without a mission and a vision. Well, truth be told, we did not have a mission and a vision. So my first goal is we got to create a foundation here. There's a lot of fights to be fought. There's a lot of issues that got to be dealt with. But if we don't create that foundation of a mission and a vision, then everything we do with your tax dollars is just reactive. We're reacting to growth. We're reacting to population density. We're reacting to stormwater drainage. We're reacting to so many different things that affect our lives if there is no mission, no vision. When the developers come in, they're doing whatever they want to do. We have codes. Yes, we do. We have different codes and ordinances that is governed by state law that developers have to follow, and we make sure that they follow them, that they comply with those things. But if they come in and present a project that doesn't meet our vision, then we should deny that project and have them come back to bring us something that meets the vision of our city. So I had to take on that battle. For 2 years, I fought for internal control audits. I fought for audits to determine how do we come up with a mission and a vision? How do we get the citizens involved as a whole? How do we send out surveys or just talk to the citizens and find out? How do we hold town hall meetings to talk about what do they want to see as far as a vision and a mission for our city? Well, lo and behold, come 2024, we finally got vision and mission in our city, laying that foundation for the future, laying the foundation for our future residents, for our children, for our legacies, for our city as a whole. And now when developers come in, they have to look at that mission, they got to look at that vision, and we have to look at our ordinance and make sure they line up with the mission, the vision, the ordinances, and everything that deals with construction and development in the city. And now everybody we're firing on four cylinders, and everybody's lined up according to the mission and vision, which is the foundation. So we have to be able to think beyond where we are. And when I ran for mayor in 2023, although I was not successful, I created a 40-year plan for the city. I was the only commissioner in this history that ever created a plan for the city, for them to following on the foundation of a mission, a vision, and a 40-year plan that was broken down into 10-year increments as to where the city needs to be going. Unfortunately, I was not successful, but I was able to come back the next year and run for my seat and win my seat again, and continue to perpetuate and to champion that mission or that vision for 40 years, the 40-year plan. And today, I'm happy to say that the city has adopted a lot of the ideas that I had in my 40-year plan into our major comprehensive plan that we run our city by now. I think we can take that same no nonsense, just common sense approach to any level of government, and I think it will be successful. And it has to start with the vision. What do you want your city to look like in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And to be honest with you, I think we need to start looking at least 50 years. What does 50 years look like? What does Orange County look like in 50 years? What are the revenue drivers in 50 years? How are we going to maintain our streets and our roads in the next 50 years? Or are we going to be dealing with electronic lift and takeoff stations from the airport to Walt Disney to Universal over to Tampa? How does that look? And what kind of revenue can we look at in the next 50 years? So it gets kind of complex when you start looking at the values of money. So when you start looking at the forms of values of money, you can project it all up. A dollar is going to be worth X amount of dollars. Based on where we are right now, a dollar is going to be worth so many cents within the next 50 years, unless there's something happens with our economic base when it comes to our money and the currency that we spend as money. Crypto may be the way to go in the next 50 years. I don't know, but I would have to look at the data and see what the data supports for the next 50 years, what gives us an idea what a vision for 50 years from now, what it would look like.
I think that's that makes a lot of sense when you put it like that, that you can't really say exactly what the plan is going to be without getting the community involvement to build that plan in within increments throughout time.
Yes. So 50 years, I just did put my little calculator up. 50 years that's 2076. I won't be here. I don't plan on being here in 2076. You know, I don't know about y'all, but we have to figure out what does the future look like in 20, what does Ocoee, what does District 2, what does the county, what does the state look like in 2076? So that's yeah, actually no, and it's 2076 will be what? That'll be a what? That'll be a centennial year. That's a centennial year from right here, right now. We're talking about centennials. That's a centennial year. We were founded in 1776, 2076. So what does it look like? What does our country look like at that time? What is acceptable in politics? Because right now we're seeing from a high level when we look at Washington D.C., when we look at the administration, there's a lot of things that's being accepted right now that our parents would have never accepted. My grandparents would have never accepted these things that's happening all around us, and it would have been a collective understanding of a community, of a county, of a state that these things are not acceptable. But look where we are now. We're doing things that we didn't think was unacceptable. So imagine if these things are happening right now, what's going to happen in 2076? What's going to be acceptable then, and what's not going to be acceptable? At what point do we come together and we start multiplying instead of dividing to put our foot down and say enough is enough? And I believe at some point there will be a revolution of people that is going to say, that's going to stand up and say, hey, enough is enough. And we're here to do something about it and put people in office that really care about this country, that really care about this state, that really care about this county and our communities. And I believe that that will happen. That pendulum will swing that way, and there will be a nation of people that's going to stand together and do the right thing. I believe that's going to happen. I don't know if I'll see it, but I believe it will happen one day.
Kind of leadership you hope to bring to Orange County um, in the new district, and how will it affect the resident, or how has it affected residents? Because we are talking about the past and your past accomplishments. Sorry for the background noise.
No, you're fine. So when I first ran for office in 2015, one of the statements I made this bold proclamation, is that if you elect me to office, I'll show you something you've never seen before. And most folks kind of like, what is he talking about? Oh my God, what is this guy talking about? And in my mind, I wanted to show them what government should really look like, what government should run like, what an elected official should be doing in the communities, and how we should partner with our communities. And the reason I said that is because growing up in Atlanta, I was able to to see leadership um, right in my face every day. It was amazing to have principals that knew Dr. King. It was amazing to be able to see and talk with people like Dr. Benjamin Mays, who taught Dr. King. It was amazing to have people like Andrew Young, who was our first African American ambassador to the United States, to be there to talk in my schools all the time, to have him stop his car and play with us play with the football on Sandlot. So it was amazing to see that level of leadership. Hosea Williams, I mean, he was a juggernaut when it comes to voter registration and voter education. to see these people every day in my community, which I took for granted at the time because I was a kid and I didn't truly understand until I was an adult. And when I became an adult and I realized what these folks were pouring into us and the hope that they were giving us for a brighter future and to be able to submerge ourselves in change that we want to see, and I started to grasp that and understand what that truly meant. And I made that statement. Let me show you something you've never seen before. And what I meant was, let me show you a commissioner that's accessible. Let me show you a commissioner that you can just stop in Publix or Walmart and say, let's have a conversation. Let me show you a commissioner that's going to have town hall meetings that's going to invite the entire city to say, let's talk about the things that's important to us. And I did that in 2015. I made that statement, and I came back in 2018, doubled down on that statement, and say, now let me show you. And when I got elected, we started. We celebrated that night. The night we elected, we celebrated. The next day was a Wednesday morning. We got to work. Let's go to work. We walked in City Hall and said, look, I know I'm elect here. I know that I'm not quite, I haven't sworn in yet, but I need this, and I need to get started. And we started planning for that future. And some folks liked it. Some folks like, oh my God, what is this guy doing? They weren't used to change, or they wasn't ready to accept the change of what was happening there. So going into office, I wasn't really accepted. I wasn't when I walked in my first meeting, walked in behind the scenes in that boardroom, and they looked at me and I looked at them. I say, "Hi, everybody." I could feel the tension in the room, but I was there to show them that I'm just like you. I'm here and I care about the city like you care about it. I just may have a different idea about how we go about moving forward. That's all. So to go back to your question, the things that we accomplished, they were accomplished with a price. There was a price that was paid for all of these things. I went through a lot. I went through threats. I went through folks trying to sabotage me, and folks that would just try to bring degradation upon my name, or all these different things. But you know what, though, those things don't bother me. The only thing that really bothers me is if long as you don't mess with my family. If you don't mess with my family or my kids and my grandkids, I'm good. You could attack me all you want to attack me. But going into these spaces and trying to get these things accomplished and maneuvering through all these little nuances of I don't know if I like him, I don't know if I hate him. They didn't know what to think about me, just like I didn't know what to think about them. But through time, some grew to hate me because of my radical views and ideas and visions, and some grew to love me because of those same things. And I had a lady tell me once, she said, Commissioner Oliver, um, I like you personally, but I don't support you. And I said, okay, well, what does that mean? you know? And when she explained it to me, I kind of understood where she was coming from. It was a fear. It was a fear. So she said that I like you personally because I think that you're a man of God, and I think that you really care about the city. And you've shown time after time and after time again that you care about this city. And she said, I've been there all my life. And she said that the reason I don't support you is because your ideas and your visions and your thoughts, the city is not ready for that. We are not ready for your progressive ideas and progressive thoughts to move us in a manner that you want to move us into. That's the only reason I don't support you. And then when I decided to run for Orange County Commissioner, she came to me and she says, now I can support you because I believe that your ideas and your visions are ready for the county. The county is ready for the things that you want to do. And also help us to bring in some resources over here to Ocoee. And at that point, I realized that a lot of it was just fear. And it was a fear of change. And there's so many of us that fear change because change represents unknown. Unknown manifests fear. And people, when they get scared about things, that fear, they get paralyzed. They get that paralysis of fear, and they don't know where to move or whether to stay or whether to go to the side or whether they don't know what to do because of that fear paralyzes them. But again, we have to be courageous. And courage is simply being able to continue to move forward despite of being afraid.
I really like that that woman was that bold to tell you that she supports she likes you as a person, but she feels that your ideas are radical. Like, not only does it's hard to hear things, I would say, that might catch us off guard at first, but you even being open-minded to understand her perspective, um I thought it was really cool. And for her at the end to say, this is where we needed you to be, we needed you to be here, so that those ideas really transform in this space. So I think that, but to play devil's advocate to what she said to you, I do think that sometimes that little bit of a radical push is what we need to be uncomfortable for us to be able to have change that we need to see. And a lot of times when we are creatures of habit, we like things the way we like them, things of that nature. So a lot of times we are not as open, I think, to change right away. But when we do see the results of people, one, being passionate about things they believe in
Hmm.
that work, we definitely are able to benefit from it. So I do love that story. I love that you shared that with us.
Absolutely, yes. I appreciate that you guys allow me this platform to share some of these things. But these are things that happens behind the scenes that I can't talk about on the campaign trail because there's literally no time to do these things. But when we sit down to have forums and to have the sharing of ideas and thoughts, like here, like this podcast, we're able to talk about the little things, the little nuances that we all deal with, and like again, just talking about that lady, she had, it was just basically fear, and I can see, where she was coming from with it after she explained it to me, and so I want to be able to take those ideas, and I want to be able to look at smart. We talk about smart development to have the city grow, but not at a pace where you just grow people away. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but you can do that. You can grow so much and so fast. The people that have been calling this home for years and years and years, they want to move away. They want to leave because it just don't feel like home anymore. It feels more like this multi conglomeration of corporations that's moving in to purchase this and purchase that, and then raise the rent on this and raise the rent on that, and then we become commercialized, and we grow people away from the city. And I want to make sure that those things don't happen in some of our small communities, like Ocoee and Apopka. I want to make sure that we're not only getting the things that we need and our fair share of those things that we need, and some of the things that we want, and and then be able to just take that and grow at the pace that we need to grow, at a comfortable pace, so we don't grow people away from the area that they were born and raised in.
And you're just talking about like the rapid growth communities. How do you feel that approaching, how do you feel that you will be able to balance out the development of preserving a community's identity with the rapid growth in those communities,
Well,
like
I
by
think it kind of
allowing them to have a voice in the process?
gotcha. I think you hit it on the head with that last statement. When everyone has a voice, and it goes back to those community coalitions, that's the voice. See, that way, Georgia Olive don't have to be the only voice in the room that say, "Hey, you know what? Tangerine and Zellwood and Plymouth, they need this, they need that, they need this, they need this, and I'm gonna make sure they have these things." Well, I would be the leading voice. I would say, "Hey, you know what? We have the coalition of Tangerine and Zellwood right here. Let them speak to us about the things that they want, things they need, and how they want to see their city, their rural boundaries grow, and what pace that they want to grow them in." And I would just simply be there just to help orchestrate the conversation, as well as make sure it goes in the direction that we needed to go in when it comes to our budget workshops, and getting them the funding that they need to get some of these initiatives off the ground. So yeah, the balance is, it can be as complex as we need it to be, but it can also be as simple as we need it to be. And it's, for me, again, as I stated before, it is about a simple, no nonsense approach to governing, to budgeting, and to being able to have conversations with communities that have needs. Again, we're moving, we're growing. Things need to be replaced. There's services that need to be had with their parks, their recreation, their highways, their roadways. 441, the Florida Department of Transportation takes care of that road. So now, how do we take a county commissioner that's a part of the district that go to Tallahassee and say, hey, you know what? You're responsible for this road, and you're responsible for so much of this road and so much percentage of the rehabilitation of these roads. Where are you at with that? What does your budgeting look like that? So I'm working with our House representatives, I'm working with our state senators, and I'm working with FDOT, and I'm partnering with them. And partnering with them means that I can actually make sure that they get the things that they need when it comes to roadways and how water drains off of those roadways. How do we prevent flooding in areas that may be flood zones? How do we actually create lift stations and retention ponds that's going to be able to remove water rapidly when it comes to our rainy season, when it comes to our hurricane season, those kind of things. So the balance has to be within partnerships. So partnering with, I can elaborate a little bit more on that, because one of the things I've already started doing, even though I'm not the county commissioner as of yet, but I have been speaking to the mayor of Apopka, the mayor of Winter Garden, our mayor of Ocoee, our city manager in Ocoee, some of the elected officials in all these municipalities, just to find out, how do we create, we talk about coalitions, that we need to create municipal coalitions at the same time. And with these relationships, we're able to make sure that we can maintain balance within our silos of communities, such as the coalitions, such as the South Apopka area, the Plymouth area, the Zellwood areas, so we can actually maintain balance when it comes to the money, the projects, and also being able to make sure that our visions line up across the board from each level, from the municipality, from the county level, from the community coalition levels, and ultimately the state levels. And we start talking about the Florida Department of Transportation. So the balance lies in the relationships and the people. That's where we maintain the balance. The coalitions represent the people, that they're the closest to the people. They're the closest to the people. The next level will be their county, the city and county commissioners, and then we start looking at state levels. And if we can maintain healthy relationships and municipal coalitions along those lines, then it's easy for us to turn that dial over to West Orange County, because we all come together. You got the commissioner from District 1 county, the county commissioner from District 2, and the county commissioner for District 7. When you take those three, you've created a powerful coalition of municipalities and county advocates that's going to make sure that the balance is maintained when it comes to the spending and how we spend money in West Orange County.
That makes a lot of sense, kind of keeping it up to the people that are in those specific areas, giving them the most control over that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at it from a more granular perspective, then I'm an elected official and I have a platform. As an elected official, the power that I have and the platform I have was given to me by the people. The people, I'm borrowing this power from the people. As Congressman Maxwell Frost always says, he says, we are here on borrowed power, the power from the people. You have granted me this power to be your advocate, to be your voice. And that power, as it flows from the bottom up. And we have to keep in mind that I work for you. You don't work for me. The power structure starts at the bottom. It is a reverse pyramid, and it goes up. Unfortunately, we have a lot of elected officials from the top all the way down that they kind of get caught in the sauce and don't realize that, hey, you know what? I do work for these people. No, they get it twisted and think that the people work for them, and that they put so many barriers in front of them to get to them that they're almost untouchable. You don't see them anywhere. You only see them maybe on TV here and there, talking about issues, or they may do something, one or two things in the community, but when it comes to picking up the phone and calling them, man, you ain't gonna reach them. And they do that by design. And I was just talking to a citizen, you know what they equate that to? They call it 2575. I said, what do you mean? He said, 2575? I said, okay, elaborate on that. He says, there's 25% of the people, or I'm sorry, of the elected officials that really, really care about people and really trying to get things done. that 75% of them are there for other reasons. They have other agendas that they're pushing. May it be prosperity, may it be power, may it be wealth, or just ego, whatever it may be. But he said 75% of them are there based on those premises. And I had to sit down and think about it. So you're probably right. I don't know if those numbers are right or close to being right, but it sounds that they might be right based on what I've seen.
I think that's fair, and I think that a lot of times, which leads us to actually our next question, which is about campaign promises and things that we might overpromise during an election cycle, or just overcommitment to something. What do you feel like candidates should be asking elected officials or people who already have some record of public service? Um, what questions do you feel like they should be asking the candidates to validate if they are being effective in their promises and in their means of leadership?
So when you another great question, because if you look at it from this perspective, when a citizen, and I'm gonna take off my commissioner hat and I'm gonna put on my citizen hat. As a citizen, what I want to know is, okay, so you served on state legislator at some point. Could you tell me some of the projects that you championed, not what you was a part of? Tell me what project that you pushed forward to the floor, to the Senate floor, to the House floor, and how many of those projects that you championed passed. I'm not talking about co-sponsored. How many bills did you sponsor on your own, got the support from everybody around you, Republican and Democrat, for it to pass? Ask those questions and see what kind of responses that you get. Because those are easy, those facts are easy to check. They're easy to check those facts. And when they start, if they talk about, what I did was I was a part of this, we got money for this, we got money for that, we got money for all these things. Okay, you did. You know what you did? You were part of a super minority that was a part of a super majority that somebody said, hey, let's push, somebody worked the room, somebody sponsored the bill, you push the button and say yes. And now all of a sudden you help usher in all this money. So you take part in that and say, I did these things. Well, guess what? That's at the state level. At the state level, they do what I call, they practice politics in theory. The only reason, and we at the local level, we practice politics. It is a practical work. We do the practical work of governing, practical governing, meaning that we are the boots on the ground. We're the last resort. We the one with the money in the hand that you sent down to us. We got the money. How do we spend the money? How do we allocate this money across all these different verticals of services that we provide, right? So now you have the only one that sits at the state legislative level that will have any idea of having practical. It's called practical application. Will be the ones that's been county commissioners, city commissioners, or mayors. When they go up to Tallahassee with that knowledge, then now they understand it from a totally different perspective, how we have to lobby and sponsor bills to bring money back down to the people that's going to be on the practical side of it and spending in the manner that need to spend it. So the questions we need to ask is, what have you sponsored? What have you done? If you bring it down to the city level, it's easy. What have you done at the city level? Oh, it's real easy because we have a microscope on us. We're right here. You can see me in Walmart. You can see me in Publix. You can see me at the BP gas station. Sometimes see me on the corner, stand up holding a sign, say, hey, thank you, District 2. Thank you, District 4. You see me anyway. See me at McDonald's. See, I am here in the community and I'm accessible. I'm very accessible. And when you ask me what I've done, it's easy to find out what I've done. Because if you look at Clark Road, and you say, well, how did Clark Road get expanded? Well, George Oliver championed that started in 2018. And he pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. In 2025, we got Clark Road extended during COVID. That George Oliver had to stand up with a community of people to stand before the Lennar Homes and say, if you don't fix these folks' homes the way they should be fixed, we're going to protest you. We're going to boycott you right here at your welcome center in Arden Park North. And we're going to do it every Saturday for the next year or the next 6 months. And let's see how much money that you lose as a result of people seeing us protest you before they walk in and buy one of your homes. Well, guess what was able to do? They said, okay, you know what? If you're going to do that, hold on before you do that. Talking to the president, he says, what if we extend Clark Road for you? $9.3 million we will be sinking in to this project if you would actually allow us the time to fix these folks' homes and build and finish Clark Road all the way to McCormick. So these are the things that George Oliver has done. George Oliver has woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning to keep dump trucks from running through neighborhoods that almost hit a little girl and say, no, you need to go through the construction entrance and not this entrance. Go around, go the other way. I figured out who the dispatchers were. Why are you dispatching these people this way? And if you don't do it, we'll do a work stoppage on your project. So these are the things that you ask. You ask questions that they can't weasel out of and give you a roundabout this global answer that you may or may not be able to fact check. Point out specifics that you've done. What have you done? And did you sponsor it? Or did you co-sponsor it? How many bills have you passed since you sat in a seat at the state legislature? Okay, on the local side, Commissioner Oliver, how many ordinances have you passed? Or how much money have you brought into the city? How many projects have you championed? How many people have been affected by some of the projects that you and the people around you have done? So George Oliver has not done anything by himself. Everything that I've accomplished in this city, I accomplished with people. I needed residents to come and help me. I needed people. I've had developers come and speak with me. I've had people on the city commission, some that didn't even like me at the time, still agreed because it made sense. They cared enough about the city not to disagree with me because we need these projects to move forward. This is how Clark Road got expanded. And this is also how Clark Road got widened to 4 lanes. And we ain't finished yet because we still need traffic lights on McCormick on one end of Poplar Violin. They're trying to do a roundabout. That don't make no sense. That's a bunch of bull. But I'll tell you this. I can tell you this as a person that's running for county commission. I can promise you so many things. I can tell you all the things I'm going to do. I can tell you all the things, who I'm going to do it with, how I'm going to do it, when we're going to do it. I can tell you all these things. I can say it all night and tell you all these things. That don't amount to a hill of beans. It really don't. Until you put me in office and let me show you what I'm going to do. This is made, yeah.
I really appreciate that. But speaking of power to the people, we have some questions. They've been lighting up my phone. So if y'all see me over here, my phone's been going off. And if you see me over here, the chat's going off. Let me read you some of the comments outside of my the echoing. Thank you guys for letting us know about our echoing issue. And if you're still sticking around even after all that conflict, we love you. Thank you. So some people said, or let's go with Strong. So Strong said, why should anyone vote for you? What makes you different from the other candidates?
That's a very fair question. It's also a reasonable question to ask anyone running for office. Let's talk about what makes me what qualifies me for this job. For one, I'm a Navy veteran. I spent 10 years in the United States Navy, so I understand discipline. And I understand staying the course. I understand that no man left behind. I understand that the community should always be involved. I'm also a federal auditor. So I understand numbers when it comes to eccentric numbers with a lot of zeros behind them. I understand those numbers. I also worked in compliance. So I understand the compliance of numbers. So not only am I able to audit numbers and audit multi-billion-dollar corporations and do public-private partnerships, as well as mergers and acquisitions. So I was a part of the Sprint and T-Mobile acquisition. So I did that for Deloitte and Touche. So not only do I understand numbers, I understand budgets, and I also understand the compliance of those numbers and how they should work. And now I took all of that skill set and brought it into local government. So I've been elected for at least 4 times to the same seat. So that tells you that I have not lost the confidence of the people in my district. So the thing that separates me from them, beyond my skill set and what I brought to the table, I also bring conflict resolution because I've been a Florida Supreme Court certified mediator. So I bring conflict resolution to all those skill sets. That is a very specific toolbox that allows me to maneuver complex situations and issues amongst people that's trying to make a decision, maneuver through them, but also be able to get things done and actually make it to the best interest of everyone at the table. So other thing that separates me, I'm the only candidate in this race that has a military background. I'm the only candidate that actually got on the ballot through a petition. That means I had to go out to the public. I didn't pay $5,000 to get on the ballot. I basically rolled my sleeves up like I've always done with my team, and we went out to the communities and we got those signatures. So I'm the only person that's in this race that qualified via petition. I'm also the only person in this race that has local government experience. In all politics is local. I hope I answered that question for him.
Yes, I think that was an amazing answer. Thank you, Strong. Strong has another one. Oh, I felt like I saw more, but maybe. Okay, Strong has another one. Strong is asking, I also want to know if his views differ from being a city commissioner to becoming a county commissioner.
I see that the views they're a little different, but a lot of them are the same. The way I view things is this. So I am actually speaking up for 15,000 residents in the city of Ocoee, going to 200,000 residents. Okay, so yeah, those numbers are two different numbers, and one is obviously bigger than the other. So the way I look at it is this. From the county perspective, I have more latitude to get more done by creating partnerships. So right now, as a city commissioner, I can't pick up the phone and call the mayor and talk about something I may vote on. I have violated sunshine laws. I can't call another commissioner and do the same thing. I cannot do that. The only thing I can do is call another mayor, another commissioner, another city to talk about issues that affect them and try to help them. But from the county perspective, now I have the ability to pick up the phone and I can call any mayor within my district. I can call any commissioner within my district and talk about issues that they're going to vote on, issues that's going to affect you immediately, and see if I can interject the voice of the people of the district to perhaps persuade them to vote one way or the other. So I look at it from that perspective. So Strong, I hope I answered your question. And if you want to talk to me personally, man, my number is 407-756-8313. That's 407-756-8313. I'm very accessible. You can call me or text me at any time, tell me who you are. We can sit down and have a cup of coffee, and we can talk about the issues that's going on throughout the county as well as the district.
Beautiful. All right, next question. We already going past the 8 o'clock deadline, so I'm trying to get through these, but I cannot finish this episode out without the voice of the people. So we're gonna answer all y'all questions. So bear with
Absolutely.
us. So now Siaku Torre asks, how will you use your skills and knowledge to correct historical disparities that exist in the Black communities?
Well, when you talk about historical disparities, one of the things I've championed, as you may or may not know, the Ocoee Massacre happened, over 100 years ago. And with a matter of fact, 106 years ago. And when I got in office in 2018, the city was not prepared to recognize the 100-year or centennial of that event. So one of the things that in addition to trying to figure out what the mission and the vision of the city is, I had to pivot at the same time using my skill sets to be able to maneuver through that complex community trauma that we all had to deal with. May it be no matter what side of the fence you were on, it was trauma to the entire community. So how do you usher in these conversations to be able to identify them, recognize them, and then to be able to bring the community together to be able to move forward as a community. So when we start talking about disenfranchisement, and there's a lot of that goes on in South Apopka. I've been in South Apopka for months and months and months and met a lot of people in there. And in some cases, I would close my eyes and open up my eyes and think I was in a third world country. And then I have to ask myself, why is this? Why is it this happening in this community in 2026 when I can drive less than 2 minutes away and there's a multi-billion dollar corporation across the railroad tracks? But yet and still these people living in almost a third world country. So these atrocities have to come about smartly. Now we can go in and we can kick down doors, and that's what I had to do in the city of Ocoee. I had to kick down some doors and turn some tables over, just like what Jesus did when he walked into the temple and they were gambling and selling different things. What did he do? He turned the tables over. He got their attention. So sometimes you have to do these things to get their attention. I'm not afraid of controversy. I'm not afraid to go the opposite direction that everybody's going, even when it's unpopular. I have no problem with that. So if you look at my history in the city of Ocoee, you'll see that I've got into many verbal altercations with the mayor, with other commissioners, because I didn't agree with what they were doing or the direction they were going in, because it just was not right. And to make a long story short, in the end, when it was all said and done, all thanks be to God, that we have all been able to come together. Those same people that we had adversarial relationships with, they are now strategic alliances right now, and they're supporting me in my run for Orange County Commissioner District 2. So I would say that would be a success, and I say there's a lot at stake. And I think that speaks to the question at hand as to how we're going to handle these atrocities. And sometimes it takes roll up your sleeve. Let me tell you something. I don't mind being in a fight, because guess what? I don't mind getting dirty. Some people say, George, you should be more barackish. Well, there's a time and a place for that, to be more barackish. But sometimes you got to get down and you got to be Sojourner Truth. Hey, again, you got to be some people that was able to take their shirt off, roll their sleeves up, and get dirty. Because I ain't never seen nobody that's been in a fight that didn't get dirty. Because if they came out clean, they wouldn't in no fight.
Thank you. Yes, you guys hear that? Don't be afraid to get dirty, okay? I have one more question that's coming through. Hold on, let me find it. All right. This is our last question, and we're going to close out, but please stick around because we'll be talking about the upcoming events that are happening here in Orlando, all right? So the last question is, how would each region or section be held accountable? I'm guessing this is a reference to the coalition, the different coalitions coming together for a common goal. What are steps that could be taken to prevent embezzlement and abuse of power? I think accountability is a big thing.
That is an excellent question. I should expand a little bit on it earlier, but what I would do when we set up these community coalitions is we create a auditing system through CPAs. So CPAs have this fiduciary duty to be able to manage certain 501c3 or other types of community-based organizations. So I would actually get organizations like CPA firms to be able to balance the money, balance the budget. So if, let's just say a company like Amazon would say, well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to partner with the other companies around us, and we're going to give $1 million every year to a project in your community. So over 5 years, they've actually generated $5 million for that community. Well, how is that money going to be? How do we have checks and balance on that money? How do we make sure that money is in compliance with the comprehensive plan and the financial accounting for that? We bring in a CPA, and the CPA is going to come in and actually manage the money. The money's not going to go to 5 or 7 people. It's going to go to a CPA firm that's going to be able to actually manage that money and report it to the state, to the county, and to the city. And then there's going to be a third component to that, which would be a auditing firm. They will be audited at least once a year. They will be audited on their internal controls 1 year, and then there will be a actual complete audit of the entire budget for the following year. So every other year you have internal controls, and then you also have the complete budget audit for the coalition every other year. And I think once it's done in that manner, it's easier to come in and audit that way because everything should line up from year to year. Everything should line up from year to year, and any strange spendings can be explained or fixed or investigated.
Perfect. I think those are a lot of events already, Maureen. So I think that there's something for somebody there in that list. And then the next time around, we'll have even more things. So you guys continue to look on the website, look at our posts, because we're always posting new events that are coming up. So as we wrap up tonight's conversation, we're reminded that leadership isn't just about the promises made during a campaign. It's about the decisions made after the election. Experience gives voters something valuable, the opportunity to look beyond the slogans and examine a record, a vision, a commitment to public service. Whether you're evaluating someone new to politics or someone who served before, every election is an opportunity to ask thoughtful questions, seek honest answers, and make an informed decision. At Blactrospective, our goal is not to tell you who to vote for, but to understand the issues, the responsibilities of the office, and the people asking the people who are asking questions so that you can earn their trust, right? Thank you to Commissioner George Oliver III for joining us and sharing his perspective on leadership, accountability, and for the future of Orange County and how to get a little bit dirty. I love that. If you
Thank
love
you
this
so much.
episode, and if
Thank
you
you for
love
having
this
me.
episode and want to support the work we do, please like, subscribe, share. Now, if you're interested in the behind the scenes content, become a supporter at Buy Me a Coffee. The links are in the bio. And our special shout out to our talent director. I don't know if I'm gonna say her name right. Sakaya Torre. Okay, thank you so much. I didn't want to mess it up. And to our audience, thank you for starting the hard conversation with us.
and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, because informed communities build real change. Oh,
Stay informed, stay empowered, and as always, love, peace, and support Black businesses.
hey. All right, audience. Thank you.